Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard. We are live for the next 3 hours in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Fun program lined up. Nick Whalen, 30 minutes. Player props for tonight's Monday Night Football doubleheader. Warren Sharp on the program coming up in 90. We'll go to New York. We'll get the New York perspective, I guess, as we go to Miami. Jets Dolphins preview with Dan Leberfeld coming up a little bit later on in the program. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't want to overreact, but we have Week 5 numbers in the National Football League and how these bad boys have been on the move since they were released last night. Plenty of reasons why, Pauly. As Week 4, almost in the books, 2 more games to go yet tonight. We'll get to the injuries. I want to ask you this question because I know that tongue-in-cheek, you were calling the Packers the 85 Bears here to begin the season.
Yeah.
So was that result from Week 1 against Detroit, knowing what we know now about both these teams, the biggest fluke of the season so far?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense because they also followed that up against Washington, who made the NFC title game, and Washington couldn't move the ball. Cleveland couldn't do anything. So you look at the first 3 games, they gave up 2 touchdowns in garbage time, and the other one was set up first and goal off the Love interception. Other than that, they haven't given a lot of touchdowns. And then you're taking on a Dallas team that doesn't have their best player, and you can't get a stop, and they score on 6 out of 7 possessions. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. And then, Parsons not being on the field, Dak all day to throw, guys wide open. You score 40 on the road, you get a tie. The shenanigans late. It's a funny sport. It's a week-to-week sport. I can't explain it after they were so good the first 3 weeks. And then suddenly they couldn't get a stop. I don't know. I was also speechless watching the Charger game. How did the Chargers lose that game? I don't know. What's your take?
Well, I mean, there's 6 yards per play to 3.6 yards per play. Right.
Dart throws for 100 yards.
Yeah, the Giants essentially did nothing in the game offensively, and yet they were in control and winning pretty much the entire time.
Yeah.
So, and then, part of the injuries that we'll get into, Malik Neighbors now, that's horrible. And they go on the road. I think everybody's going to assume this is going to be an easy win for the Giants. I would say not so fast when they play the Saints coming up this weekend. But the Lions now are scoring 30 points kind of on accident. They did it again yesterday. They didn't have a zillion yards. They had fewer than 300. But that's back-to-back. But when you look at the scores, of the final scores anyway, they have covered and blown out their opponent now. The Ravens game was a 7-point game, but they did whatever they wanted to that Baltimore team. And so they're scoring 30 plus, higher than that, and couldn't do a damn thing. I guess that was their preseason game.
That's probably right. What you said it before. I think last night was a fluke, and I think that was more of the Lions were rusty, and that was our preseason game, and let's get the issues out of the way. But to go from the Lions can't even get a first down, and everything's a dink and dunk to we can't slow down Dak and we give up 40.
They were never a threat to even move the football until late.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess the other biggest fluke could be Carolina 30, Atlanta nothing. That could be it. And Atlanta, I think, is going to be live to win that division because the Buccaneers are just dropping, players are dropping like flies. That's the story, I think, of the league kind of right now.
I think you're right. You could probably get a long shot or a surprise to make a deep run or make it to the Super Bowl because it's going to be a war of attrition with the guys that are getting hurt and going down. And again, with the 49ers, they can't. Now something wrong with Purdy. It never ends. What's going on in Tampa? You're right, losing key guys left and right. But it's one of those years.
Yeah,
and it's also it's also a weird year with what we've seen with the special teams and no one and a kick is blocked every single week, or a punt return or multiple. I mean, Philadelphia right off the bat, 2 minutes into the game, block punt, take it back the other way.
Sure.
After how they ended last week against the Rams.
Yeah, here are the numbers, by the way. 15 blocked kicks through 4 weeks with 2 games to go. We had 9 at this point last year. 11 field goals have been blocked, 4 punts. The field goal thing.
I don't see it changing. There's a jailbreak. If you watch all these games at the same time, there are multiple jailbreaks. I don't know if it's these guys are just too big and they overpowered them or it's scheme. Well, it's what happened in the Dallas game. What happened in the Raider game. But if you watch closely, sometimes they're getting there, but they're just missing. And it's just, there's issues up front doing that job.
Did the league send out a memo after the Broncos-Colts finish to like the referees that we may have missed that said, hey, easy with the leverage call? Because that was a BS call. Broncos should have won that game. Colts were gifted a second chance, and then they eventually won. Because I'm telling you, watching these block kicks, like the one I'll give up, and I had the over in the game. I never had a side. So this is not like me telling you I had the Raiders and I thought it was a bad call. That's not it. The final play in the Raiders-Bears game yesterday, was that not leverage on Chicago, what they did to the offensive line for the Raiders? I thought that was maybe even more egregious than the Broncos-Colts finish, but they never called it. Yeah. So maybe they're just saying they're going to crack down on it, and we don't want to have that rule enforced anymore. And I did see this idea thrown out there because of the special kicker balls that we have now. And these guys, they're trying them from 55, 60, 65 yards. And these guys are putting them to the net. They're kicking them lower to get a better trajectory, if I can say that word.
Tough one, yeah.
To go through the goalposts.
Good. Okay, very good.
And if they're kicking them lower, that could be a thing that continues, hence making it easier for the special teams on the defensive side to actually get their hands on the ball. I can buy into that one, Pauly.
Yeah. Not bad. Because I was concerned about that with the Green Bay game going to overtime because I had Green Bay on a teaser. That's like, this is a major mismatch right now. Aubrey can make it from 70, right? And you have kicks blocked routinely. When that came back to bite him. What happened with the block? And that was a total jailbreak. Not only does two guys come right through, three guys, and then it ricochets and goes right into the arms of the Dallas player, and he takes it in for the two.
Well, and because of that, they had so many guys behind the line of scrimmage, the Cowboys did anyway, that the Packers, they had no chance to catch the players because they were already 5 yards deep and going the other way. They had a convoy. But I think multiple guys could have blocked that field goal, like you said, or the extra point.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a horrific beat for people who were on Green Bay first half money line.
Yes, it was.
And you never know. People bet all this stuff, right? So I'm sure tons of tickets were out there on that. Maybe even to finish off some full day parlays tied into that game last night. You're telling me they're up 13-0, going to make it 14-0. And because of that result, hold on. We're going to take it for two of the other weights, 13-2. It's still 13-2. Dallas had the ball at around the Green Bay 30 with under a minute to play. And you could not win the money line at the first half.
Yep. Packers team total was also 13.5.
Oh.
That's another one. You're right. I could see it coming. It's just like you can run a draw or a screen. Why are you getting aggressive there when you have issues with the kicking game and you could see it coming? You want to dial one up and throw it down the field and whoop, there's the turnover and it changes the game when you were in complete control.
Yep.
I don't get it. Just go to halftime. If you just want to run something safe, so be it. But I thought that was ridiculous how they handled it. And then the nonsense at the end where I don't care if you're going to give Aubrey time. They don't have to score the touchdown and win the game. Who cares if it doesn't worry about Aubrey or how much time's left if you score the touchdown and win the game. But they're so concerned with playing the clock there.
I know.
And then the dump off on second down was stupid. The whole thing was crazy. I can't believe you watch this stuff every week. You see something new or something that just blows your mind.
Well, and I want to know if the guy running the scoreboard, the clock operator,
got a big break.
Where is he from?
Yeah, that's right.
How was there 1 second on the clock? The fact that didn't show all zeros, I was blown away watching the game live last night. And then, of course, as soon as the field goal is good, people in Survivor contests here at Circa, all across the country and beyond, if you're unfamiliar with this stuff, did your team win? The answer is no. So did they survive? Absolutely not. A tie is a loss in Survivor contests. And I like how Jeff Benson had to send out, you would have appreciated his tweet if you didn't see it. All caps.
I saw it.
A tie is a loss in Circa Survivor.
Yep.
Because you knew for a fact that he was going to get bombarded with people asking that question.
Right. I don't want to overreact right off the bat. They will change this overtime soon. Because the worst thing for everyone involved, fans, players, whatever, people hate ties. And as we talked about with Mike Palm a couple weeks ago, when we talked to our good friend, the lawyer from Chicago, he said, watch out for this because of the new rules. People are going to get knocked out of Survivor. You're going to see more ties. We've already had one.
That's right.
We should have had two. Cowboys-Giants should have been a tie as well.
Fair.
But when both teams get the ball now, This is likely to happen.
And it's only a 10-minute period.
That's right.
That's it.
And people are not going to be fans of this. I'm just talking about everyone's got a bad taste in their mouth when there's a tie afterwards.
Oh, I'm guessing that we're going to have multiple ties this year.
Yes.
That last night was not the only one.
Yeah.
And another thing, I know that they have somehow played 2 unders. I mean, Cowboys are averaging the most yards per game and allowing the most yards on defense. Mm-hmm. So they have the number 1 offense in the league, and they have the number 32 defense overall when it comes to yards. They have blown by the total in 2 of their 4 games. And by the way, the other 2 games, the lightning delay in the opener against Philadelphia, that game was going to fly over. It did not.
Yep.
And I don't know how the game last week against Chicago didn't go over. They had, 30-plus points at halftime, and it completely died? And now they have a 47.5 against the Jets? But I don't think I get better than under in a Cowboys game.
I'm with you. I know. They score 40 points. We get 1 out of Aubrey. What are the odds of that? We couldn't get more from Aubrey. That was a big upset. Save 40% on our football season special with the Follow the Money promo code FTM. VSiN Pro access everything we do across every sport through the Super Bowl. The daily best bets from every host, every guest, the betting splits, the Mackinnon systems, the prop analyzer, all the props, the guru, the doubleheader. Cohen's up there with a couple plays. Adam Burke, Applebaum. You get lost in all the information. The prop analyzer as well. And the OptiStats. Lock it in, 40% off today. Promo code FTM. VSiN.com/subscribe. So much up there. Tell your friends.
I like this angle tonight as we get into the Monday Night Football doubleheader coming up next. For a quarterback to clear his number that is currently posted. I'll tell you why. On Follow the Money, it's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
I'm on record. I like the Monday Night Football doubleheader. Tonight, it's not going to be like back-to-back because Game 2 will start while Game 1 is not even at halftime yet. But you get the Jets and the Dolphins playing in Miami. DraftKings at 3 right now in Miami. Juice minus 102 there. So you're going to have to pay, obviously, a little bit more if you want the Dolphins. The Jets, I'm sorry, on that one. And then other books are 2.5. But their juice is like minus 115 or minus 120 here on the home team. Total is 43.5, between that number and 44.5. What do you make of teasing the Jets up to 8.5 in this game? And maybe tie it with the Broncos down to 1.5 in the second game?
I say no.
No.
Yep. I like Miami.
No.
I bet Miami. If they lose, the race is on between McDaniel and Callahan here. This could get interesting. But if Miami loses this game at home, I think Ross says bon voyage, and that's it. 2-6-0 against the Jets. As we have talked about numerous times on this show, the great tidbit from Evan Abrams, New York teams in prime time on the road. Prime time is hideous. 3-22 going back, but 1-16 on the road in prime time games with these New York teams, how bad it's been. So I think they'll get the win. And the other thing is, several guys can go off from Miami, and we'll talk to Jets whispers coming up. I just don't think they're going to get much resistance from this Jets defense. That hasn't been able to stop anything for years. Now, if it's going to be this dink and dunk and everything at or behind the line of scrimmage with Tua, that means Achane eats, which I think will happen. This guy's going to have 6 catches. You might get that in the first half. Does Tyreek go off? And I know we're back on our guy, Ollie Gordon, who's 3-1. Anytime touchdown. I think they'll have success on the ground. I think they'll have some success on some deep shots. And I know where you're going because this has been so good. And it happened while we were on the air yesterday. In these prime time standalone games, longest rush for a quarterback keeps cashing.
It really does. So the one angle I wanted to look at tonight was obviously Justin Fields here. Now, when you look at the defensive numbers for Miami so far through 3 weeks, and they do not have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. In fact, overall, their DVOA on defense is 31st overall. It's worse than the Jets. They're 31st against the pass, 25th against the rush. So they cannot get pressure on the quarterback. In fact, they are dead last in the entire league getting pressure. This was entering week 4 at 18%. Their sack rate is 17th overall. And so as a result of that, they have the highest blitz rate in the entire league at 43.2%. Number one with a bullet. And so when I told you that their pressure rate is last, their non-blitz pressure rate is 31st in the league. Now you could flip it and say, well, is Justin Fields and this passing offense really that big of a threat? Aren't they going to concentrate more on the ground game? I would agree with that sentiment. However, we have seen a nice little rapport and connection with Fields and Garrett Wilson. We saw last week with Tyrod Taylor as well. He's having a great season. So because they cannot, if they keep up with that blitz rate, I think that's going to create alleys and angles for Fields, and he likes to take off anyway. I have numbers on him coming up in a second. Danny Dimes' longest rush in week 1 was 11. Drake May ran one for 13. Josh Allen, his longest rush was 19 yards against Miami. Justin Fields now on the screen at various books as high as 16.5, but as low as 13.5. He had a 27-yard rush in limited action against Buffalo in week 2, and he had a 15-yard rush against the Steelers in week 1. He also, like last year's a little wonky because he wasn't the full-time quarterback for the entire season. He only went over this number in a select amount of games a couple times. But when he was a full-time starter in 2023, he cleared 13.5 as the longest rush, 8 out of 13 games. And in 2022, he was running the ball for like 60-yard gains. He went over a 13.5 rush 11 times out of 15 games. I just think because of how bad Miami is on defense and how they play, and this guy likes to be, obviously, is one of the biggest threats there is as a quarterback running the football anyway. I'm taking my chances here by going over 13.5 in the game.
Yeah, very good.
So, do we get points in the game?
Yes.
I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, this Jets defense has been fugazi now for a long time.
Yeah.
But the Dolphins defense is worse.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there'll be points tonight. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's been a house of horse. They've lost 9 in a row at Miami. I was looking at the Jets on third down going the last couple games. They're 3 of 22. The primetime numbers are worse. 5 and 31 since 2019 straight up. They're the 1 and 16 on the road, as I mentioned. But I think Wilson can have a big game. I think Fields will have success on a couple big plays, but also do well on the ground. And I just think this is the move to 3 is right based on the history. 2 was 6-0 against them. The average win 14 points per game. And I expect Miami to win a high-scoring game, and I just don't see the Jets slowing them down. And that Miami, the Jets won't take it away. Tua should have time to throw. It won't be like Howard said when he ripped them after the Colts game. Take away the first read, he panics. I think he'll have all day to throw back there and mix it up. And, hey, give him credit. I didn't really love the game plan. Everything was safe, but they had a good performance that Thursday night game and gave the Bills a scare until the bad Tua interception. So I think they'll come through and get the win. Did you look at anything else other than anytime touchdown for Ollie Gordon? Because I know that his rushing yards prop now has ballooned up to 25.5. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think he'll get some carries. You think so? You don't trust McDaniel to get him enough touches? Well, because after what he did in the Bills game, this guy needs more carries. I would agree with that. That's kind of where I'm thinking. Well, all weekend long and including tonight at vsin.com, the Opta AI player projections have been there for free to go check out. And some of the stuff that they had, I didn't grade all of them, but they were all over Derrick Henry under rushing yards yesterday. That one got there. They were also all over Lamar Jackson passing yards. That one didn't, but he also got hurt and only played basically one half. For this game tonight, they have Gordon. They project him for 12.5 yards. That's like a half of what his number is tonight. But here's the thing. They only have him going, I think, for 3.5 carries in the game. No, that's not happening. I mean, I watched that game like everybody else did against the Bills, like you just said. I'm thinking, this dude's got to be they got to implement some more plays here for the guy. Number one, he's goal line guy. Number two, he's short yardage guy. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities against the Jets. So like he did against the Bills, he breaks a couple. There it is. I'm with you on that. He is going to be the goal line guy. Mm-hmm. And aren't they going to get their chances again against this porous defense? Yeah. So 3-1, the Scadaboo number went bye-bye after one game. That went from plus $3 or higher to plus 110 anytime touchdown. You can still get 3-1, and it's not his backfield. I get that, but well, I just think it's hard to sometimes look at these numbers like we talked about with Dart. I mean, Dart had a huge number, and he just look how many times he ran. I think he was over that halfway through the first quarter yesterday. Well, the other thing I have to look at, because you asked the question, McDaniel won't shut up about Darren Waller, about how good this guy looks and the talent, and he's finally going to play. So I would expect him to come. He's the stupid trade to get rid of Jonnu Smith. So I would expect a couple catches and a couple targets in his direction too. If you think, keep raving about him and how good he looks, okay, well, he's finally playing. Let's get him involved.
And remember, no more Jonnu Smith, obviously, how big of a part of the offense he was last year. So it's like the tight end absolutely is supposed to have a role with this team. In the other game, I brought up the pressure rate in the first game. I'll do it again here for one particular reason. Cincinnati, they are 15th overall in pressure rate on the entire year. Their blitz rate is dead last. Their non-blitz pressure rate is 19th. So if they don't blitz tonight, I don't think that even with Trey Hendrickson on the defensive line, they're going to get to Bo Nix, because Denver is number one in pass block win rate, and they're both their tackles are in the top 10 overall individually. Bo Nix has only been sacked 3 times in 3 games. This is a very difficult prop to find. I know the Hard Rock had it earlier this year. I would look at betting Bengals sacks if you can find like a 2 or 2.5. It's a suitcase bet to the under. But if you could find even like 2, that to me would be worth a bet on under Cincinnati Bengals sacks in this game.
TMI Ozzy put me on Engram over. That they were comments that we want to get Engram involved as well. Browning is as high as $2 to throw an interception.
Oh.
He's 170 here at Circa. We're getting close to Winston territory, so that's 5 in last 7 quarters. And I know probably Chase Brown receiving is going to be popular, but they have to get him going on the ground. This is ridiculous. He's been hit behind the line of scrimmage on 80% of his carries, and they're averaging 2.4 yards per carry. How bad this has been. This is like historic. You got to go back to, was he a Packer? Reggie Cobb?
Reggie, oh yeah.
Yeah.
From Tennessee.
For a guy to have this, that's what
is that bad?
Yeah. How bad he is with hit behind the line of scrimmage in 2.4 yards per carry, but you're getting that many carries. And you also have to get T. Higgins involved. The last meeting, he was awesome against Denver in that high-scoring game. Mm-hmm. So I expect points. I know Zach Cohen wrote about it up on vsin.com. I expect points in the late game as well, and for it to be entertaining. I wouldn't be surprised if it's bombs away with the field goal kickers, too.
The Opta AI projections have a huge game in store for Jamar Chase, like 9.5 catches and more than 90 yards.
I'm surprised by that. Because
I'll bounce back from getting embarrassed last week.
Well, you know what they want to, you know what they want to do though, when they have good cover guys.
Yeah, Cincy on the ground again, last in adjusted line yards, 30th stuffed rate, dead last at the second level, and 31st in the open field. I mean, that's as bad. To expand on what you were talking about, as bad as it gets. More on tonight's games with more player props to look at coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Got double header tonight coming up Monday Night Football. Again, the Dolphins at home laying 2.5 with juice or 3 around even money. Check your books, check your outs, obviously. The late game Broncos 7.5 in that game. And to talk about them now, we head out to the Progressive guest line. Nick Whalen joins the program with RotoWire. You can follow him on X at WHA1EN. Nick, thanks for the time. As always, we appreciate it. I was just making my case for a Justin Fields prop in the previous segment. I like his longest rush over 13.5 tonight for various reasons. How did you approach Fields in this game?
Yeah, I think this should be a nice spot for Justin Fields. I'm on board with the longest rush. I'm looking at Justin Fields anytime touchdown tonight. Of course, that would likely have to be a rushing touchdown to cash, but plus 210, I think to me is pretty fair. I mean, you have a Miami defense that's 31st right now in rush defense EPA. They're dead last in success rate allowed on the ground, even worse than the Dallas Cowboys. You know, they're dead last in overall success rate defensively. And, you know, I think early in the season, it's early to say, or easy to say, well, you know, they got crushed in that Colts game. That's bringing down all the numbers. This defense got crushed by New England. You know, even Buffalo didn't play that well last week, still cruised to a 10-point win. So I think with Miami, we focus so much on the issues with Tua, and is Tyreek Hill happy? Is he going to be traded? Is Jalen Waddle banged up? We forget that this is just not a very good defense whatsoever, a defense that had some very obvious holes coming into the season, and a secondary that might be the worst in football and has some key injuries tonight. So assuming we get the full version of Justin Fields, which I think we will, I think he's fully cleared from concussion protocol, I think this should be a really nice spot for him and that Jets running game.
So you brought up the Cowboys defense there. You're from Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin. How alarmed are you from that performance last night by Green Bay? I couldn't believe what I was watching for like 2.5 hours.
I'm alarmed on a number of levels. I mean, I think offensively, this was great, right? I think if somebody had told you, hey, the Packers are going to put up 40 in Dallas, you would say, excellent. All right, they're covering the 6.5, no problem. I have so many questions about what Matt LaFleur was doing last night, really starting, I think it was early second quarter where the Packers, they come out, they put up 2 touchdown drives. Obviously you have the extra points not only blocked, but returned for a touchdown. And of course that ended up mattering, as it always does when something like that happens early in a game. But the Packers, and you guys know this, right? Especially you as a Packers fan, that they have an opportunity to step on the throat of the Dallas Cowboys early in this game. And not once, but twice, Matt LaFleur opts to punt from essentially midfield on 4th and short. They take this delay of game on a 4th and 2. They end up punting. They have a similar situation a couple possessions later. You punt it away again when your offense is moving the ball at will. And I think the one thing I would say in defense of Matt LaFleur is I think he realizes how bad this offensive line is playing right now. And the Packers can no longer just automatically pick up 2 or 3 yards on the ground with Josh Jacobs like they could last season. But I don't know if he's reading too much into that lack of an efficient running game, because the way Jordan Love was playing last night, I don't think the Cowboys defense had any hope to stop him. But the inconsistency that we continue to see from Matt LaFleur when it comes to that aggressiveness, right? You punt twice from midfield, but then with 28 seconds on the clock, you try to score before half, and it leads to a disaster scenario where you fumble and give up a quick touchdown. I don't really know what to make of this Packers team, guys. I really don't. I still think talent-wise, when they're at their best, they're probably a top 5 team in the NFL. But I don't have a whole lot of faith in the coaching. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the special teams. And I'm eagerly waiting news on Devontae Wyatt last night, who left with a knee injury. If he misses significant time, that is a big, big deal for that defense.
Good breakdown. Excellent points. Also, stop worrying about the clock and just go win the game in overtime.
Let's go win the game.
Yeah, take shots in the end zone. I couldn't believe the dink and dunk and how they were managing the clock. The nightcap should be high scoring as well. You got a plethora of bets that you like. It's okay that this is popular. I think it'll still cash as well. Chase Brown over receiving.
Yep. Yeah, the Bengals have to find a way to get Chase Brown involved. I don't know if it's going to be as a traditional running back, because Cincinnati's running game has just been brutal so far. I mean, we're talking, 47 carries for 93 yards on the season for Chase Brown. I don't think that projects to get a whole lot better tonight against this Broncos defense, which maybe hasn't been quite as dominant as we thought it would, but still rates out as a top 10 defense in just about every metric. So I look at the over 21.5 receiving yards, and Amari and Hampton went 6 for 59 on this defense on 7 targets. Jonathan Taylor had a long receiving touchdown on the Broncos defense a couple weeks ago. And that's really kind of the hole right now for the Broncos, is covering those running backs out of the backfield. And you look at Cincinnati coming off of just a worst case scenario offensive game last week against Minnesota. It might not be a great offensive game tonight, but it's not going to be that bad. Teams don't play that poorly 2 games in a row. So even in a tough spot here, Broncos should be able to get after Jake Browning. This is not a very good offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think we see some dump off opportunities for Chase Brown.
Okay, I was making the case again for Fields to go over his rushing yards prop. You want to do the same thing here with Bo Nix in this game?
I do. I think we're getting a reasonable number here at 21.5 for Bo Nix. And, part of it for me is, Cincinnati, if you look at right now, like they've allowed the fewest rushing yards to quarterbacks in the NFL this season, but they've only allowed 6 carries by quarterbacks because they played Joe Flacco, Trevor Lawrence, and Carson Wentz. And I know you could argue Lawrence and to a lesser degree Wentz, they're semi-mobile, but they weren't in those games. And now you're playing a true mobile quarterback in Bo Nix. So this is really the first time to me this season that they'll have to worry about that. Bo Nix has been a little bit disappointing so far as a rusher. Didn't go to that as much as I thought he would in week 1 against Tennessee. Was able to get it going a little bit these last couple of games, but he's carried the ball 19 times through 3 games. And if you're telling me he's running the ball 6 or 7 times tonight, I like his chances to go over 21.5, and went over that number last week against a much, much better defense than the Chargers.
Very good. I'm with you on that. Longest rush, 11.5 as well, which I like. What happens with Chase tonight? How does Browning move the ball?
That's a very good question. If anything, guys, I was kind of looking at the T. Higgins markets.
Yes.
His season has been off to a disastrous start, and I think it could be a little bit reductive to say, Pat Surtain is just going to be all over Jamar Chase, and that opens up T. Higgins. I kind of think that's how it could go, though. Number one, or step number one, if you're the Broncos defense, is making sure Jamar Chase doesn't have one of those Jamar Chase games that keeps the Bengals in this. And I think that does open things up for T. Higgins. The one game that he kind of got loose was week 2 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's turned out to actually be a pretty good defense in Jacksonville, and he gave them a lot of problems. So Jamar Chase, obviously, a talented enough player. I think the volume should be there, that if you want to make a case for his over, I see it. But to me, the number is low enough now for T. Higgins. We're talking under 50 yards tonight, where he's the guy I would target if you're looking at those Cincy receivers.
Okay. How about the much ballyhooed rookie running back for Denver in the air, RJ Harvey, right? We heard so much about this guy before the draft, after this landing spot for him being selected by the Broncos. I'm seeing as low as 9.5 for the receiving prop. Did they get it going with him tonight?
Yeah, it depends on what your definition of get it going is, I guess, because what scares me with RJ Harvey is I just don't know how much of him we're going to see, right? We certainly thought he would be a bigger part of this offense by now, given the level of investment. The Broncos go out of their way to upgrade that running back room, and yet, of course, it's J.K. Dobbins leading the way so far. But yeah, I like the over 9.5 receiving yards tonight for RJ Harvey, a guy who could easily just go over that on one reception. And Cincinnati, we can say a lot of bad things about that defense. They have let a number of running backs get loose as pass catchers so far this season. Bashal Tutin, Travis Etienne, Xavier Scott have all gone over this number against Cincinnati just in the last 2 weeks. Again, I stay away from the rushing props when it comes to Harvey because I just don't know how much he's going to be on the field. But if he is going to be involved tonight, I think it's more as that pass catching back.
Very good. Nick, do you think it's time today? I don't want to overreact, but is it time to bet the Steelers to win the division? Earlier today, still as high as plus 290 with the Ravens' problems and their injuries, and or time to bet the Chiefs around plus 140 to win the AFC West.
I think given those options, I would rather bet the Chiefs. I really, really like what I saw from the Chiefs offensively this past week. And maybe it's just as simple as having Xavier Worthy back in the mix. But what I really like with Kansas City is we're 2 weeks away from the return of Rashee Rice. And I think that is when we're going to see this Kansas City Chiefs offense really take off. Now, is it going to be 2022, 2023 levels when you had peak Tyreek Hill? Probably not, but I think it's going to be a significant upgrade from how that offense has looked over the last couple of weeks. We started to see some chinks in the armor for the Chargers this past week, kind of cracking that door open for Kansas City. Very difficult schedule, of course, the rest of the way for the Chiefs, but this to me is a team that's picking up some confidence. So I would look into Kansas City for sure. I'm still not totally sold on the Steelers, guys, but at the same time, you mentioned the big thing with Baltimore. It's not only that they're 1-3, it's the injuries all over this roster, right? We have no idea if Lamar Jackson is going to play this week. They lost 2 key pieces defensively. Madubuike is done for the year. He's not coming back at any point. Nate Wiggins is banged up. Marlon Humphrey might end up missing a month, and 2 really difficult games coming up for a struggling offense and a team that just cannot run the ball right now. This has been an astoundingly bad start for Derrick Henry. Yep,
totally agree. Nick, thank you as always. Good luck with the bets. Enjoy the games tonight. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
There you go. Make sure you follow him on X as well, at WHA, the number 1 EN, Nick Whalen, RotorWire. So I'm looking right now, Pauly, at an updated win total for the Baltimore Ravens. It's 10.5. They're 1-3, like you said. Houston and the Rams, both of those are at home on deck. The bye, Chicago, they still have to go at Minnesota this year. They have Pittsburgh twice. Yeah. They got at Green Bay. They might get Cincinnati when Burrow is back. They're going to win 11 games?
I think the schedule's doable and they can do it. But the problem is you're down 8 guys on defense, and what happens with Lamar? And they can't get the running game going.
Yeah.
I mean, what's with this 40 yards every game with Henry? I never would have envisioned a scenario where it's like, okay, well, Ravens are going to miss the playoffs after what we watched week 1 for 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's another number that I think you need to at least take a peek at anyway. Pauly's going to run down all the big tickets that cashed over the weekend, the landing spots, the bad beats, win-lose next here on VSiN.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Hell of a weekend. A lot of tickets cashed. Let's go. Shutout 3-1. Ugly performance by the Titans yet again. Most passing yards, Stafford 10-1. What a fourth quarter. And the bomb to Atwell. How do you give that up?
I have no idea.
And the kid with the Colts again. What's in the water over there? Taylor did it last year, and this kid does it.
I've seen enough. I think they're the real deal.
You buying into the Colts?
Oh, yeah. I think,
That's fine. Yeah, sure.
You have to even more so after yesterday.
Yeah.
Despite losing and not covering.
Can't believe the play at the 1 yard line. Genty, yes, the Mike Myers Halloween stance is back. I also liked your tweet. Well, if you actually open up holes, maybe the guy can do something.
Oh, he's pretty good.
Yeah. Most rushing, 15-1, Genty. I didn't see what he was with the hat trick. Most receiving, Puka, 5-1. Folks, this is ridiculous. He's on pace for 2,200 yards. I mean, come on.
He's
now.
on pace for almost 180 catches.
Yeah. This is nuts what he's doing.
I have a lot more on Puka later on in the show.
Yep. Most points scored, the Patriots, of course. 22-1. I think that was 42 unanswered after Carolina let 6 rip. Fewest points, Titans, 7-1. Highest scoring game, Dallas, Green Bay, 20-1. Lowest scoring game, Tennessee, Houston, 6-1. First touchdown of the early games, Eagles, 11-1. Gainwell, first touchdown in the Ireland game, 9-1. You had it. Xavier Scott, anytime, 8-1. Dobbs, 3 touchdowns, 100-1. Come on. Virginia, plus 220. Vatek, plus 280. Hawaii, plus 245. Illinois, 2-1. Lincoln Riley on the road. What could go wrong? Guardians did it. 150-1 at Caesars to win the division at the All-Star break. The biggest collapse in MLB history. They were 30 or 40-1. Most wins of September. All of it. Give it to them. Cash those tickets. And an excellent job. Pizzeria tomorrow. We've always were talking about Rich in Canada, and his dreams came true. He had a ticket that paid 560-1 on Mariners, Blue Jays, Brewers, and Phillies. He also had one with the not the Guardians, but there's 3 of them in there. That was 90-1, and he has another one that's open with Tampa to win the division and a bunch that have like Boise futures and some other stuff. But he sent the tickets and we'll put it in tomorrow. Great job, Rich in Canada, and your big boy at 560-1 right there with divisions.
If the Padres would have won the West, he would have been able to buy his own private island.
Yes.
Pretty much what it boils down to.
That's right, with all those. That's right. Saturdays, unders in Major League Baseball went 12-3. WNBA, Mercury plus 450 series price. They take out the Lynx.
Did you watch that game last night? I know
did.
at the same time. I had it on as well.
Comeback. First team in history to blow 2 14-point leads in a series. And then again, it's just,
Minnesota's running them out of the gym in the first half, and they're tied at halftime. They're blowing them out again in the third quarter.
Wild game.
Back and forth the entire time.
Premier League, Sunderland 4-1. Crystal Palace plus 350. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. Ton of people reaching out every day on Instagram. It's excellent. Look at this guy running with the train. Give me that. Look how fast this guy goes. Well, you got the train running, and he's at the fence, got a little shirt on, coming in, trying to race the train, going back and forth. He's moving, man.
And no kidding.
That is awesome. He's got a big backyard, right, rolling with the train. That is excellent. Thanks to everyone who sends those in every single day. Plenty of lose some. The Mets were 95% to make the playoffs on September 1st. They had over a $300 million payroll. They went 0-70 this year when they were trailing after 8 innings. That is impossible. They were the only team to do that. Soto, Alonso, Lindor, 0-70? No one could walk into a boot and a blast ever?
I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah. They went 0-70 this year when trailing after 8.
Like, what were they to make the playoffs? They had the best record in baseball.
And the best ERA in June, yes. You look at this. Yeah, 95% September 1st. Go back to June, best record, all that. Couldn't beat them at home, unstoppable. They blew it. Also, Steve Cohen came out. He had a great tweet about it. I apologize. This is unacceptable. We're going to make changes. We're going to look at a lot of things. And the first response is, I was very disappointed with the chicken tenders this year at the ballpark. Can we clean that up? No, but it was the guy who goes, I want more.
Can we clean that up?
I want more high-quality chicken, the guy said.
Well, a guy, I mean, if he's a lifelong season ticket holder, then acquiesced.
First time in 20 years we didn't have a no-hitter.
Yeah.
How about that?
Haven't they been coming down every year anyway from 6, 7 a year to 2 or 3? This is not your grandpa's baseball anymore.
I know. Arizona from 7 down to 3.5, no good. Likewise, Bowling Green, 11 down to 7. And I'll put it under lose some. All the shenanigans in this game. Indiana from 4 up to 9. A couple of lose some videos. You leave the dog at home. You never know what's going to happen, but I don't expect this where he chews through the door. Peekaboo. He comes out. Hey, I was wondering what took you so long. And the owner's just like, what did you do? I can't believe this. He's a little guy. And you see what he did. He bit through the bottom of the door, hole in it, comes right out. Let's see what I did. Ta-da. There you go. Well, you should have locked me in the room.
Of course.
Look at it. He
Not big enough.
That's right. He bit right through the door. They come right out. Smart guy. And someone sent this in on Instagram as well. I can't believe it. At the airport. Those are not sandals. Those are sandals tattooed on the feet, walking around the airport barefoot.
So the person did this specifically so they can go to the airport.
I don't get it.
Barefoot and make it look like they have sandals on because they enjoy being like this so much.
Oh, God, what are we doing?
Just whack them right off.
Absolutely.
The ending of Saw. Here you go.
Yep.
Have fun.
Gotta play that. We have a long thing compilation put together, and it's about 2 minutes and everything. Standing up as soon as the plane lands, right to jail. Barefoot in public, put your feet up on, right to jail. All of it. It's unbelievable. Bad for the books. Atlanta plus 1.5 to minus 2.5. Giants, Chargers under 45.5 to 42.5. We mentioned this yesterday on the pregame show, on the tailgate show. Giants at home, September and October, 23-2 under run. Cash another one. Baylor 17 up to 20.5. No problem there as well. And on the bad beats, Liverpool, Crystal Palace under 2.5. How about goals in the 87th and 97th minute? Arsenal, Newcastle under 2.5. Goals in the 84th and 96th minute. Wolves allowed a goal in the 94th minute. They blew it against Tottenham. Indiana from 4 up to 9. So I'll say 5, 6, 7. They take the safety on the final play where Mendoza runs all the way backwards for 40, 45 yards and apologizes after the game, he said, for what he did.
Now the kids, can I call them kids?
Right. Now Lane Kiffin.
No, they're talking about it.
Lane Kiffin's got to say something every game.
And then have like this bleep-eaten smile on his face.
Yeah.
Come on.
I had this. I'm not saying it because I had the under. I'll get to it later. This stupid overtime in college football. It's just Mickey Mouse. But Oregon Penn State under was brutal.
Oh, terrible.
Come on. That's 10-3 in the fourth quarter. This was bad. Chris Felica had it. Yankees win total 93.5 under. They won 11 of their last 12 games to win 94. Oh, that's bad. Oh, Felica, condolences. Yesterday, the Rangers led 8-5 in the 10th. Of course, Cleveland won. They already clinched. 9-8, they walk it off. And a viewer had this at FanDuel. All teams, 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals in the late game, 400-1. It gets there if Carlson isn't blocked at the end. Would have paid
what?
Would have paid $20,000. 400-1. I saw the ticket. All teams 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals each needed the Carlson field goal.
Oh.
Colts, bad beat. The drop at letting the ball go at the 1 yard line, and then you give up the bomb with a minute left. Packers first half money line, and Packers team total over 13.5 as well. Before the line moves, sharp plays already there. They don't just follow the market, they help move it. You're not going to outsmart billion-dollar books of full-time sharps on your own. With Jeff and the sharp plays, you don't have to. Great sources, dialed in, connected. Betting reports, real-time alerts, market moving insights straight to your inbox or X feed. At it since 2011. Documented results, public logs, transparent receipts. Sharpplays.com. Trusted by pros, watched by the books. Sharpplays.com, baby.
I thought that I had Oregon plus 4. I took that right before kickoff here at Circa.
Okay.
Man, it was minus 102. I thought I was going to lose that in overtime.
Oh, they've been infuriating.
How about the note?
They're going to run the ball down.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes a run to Aller. They're not going to throw it.
They were creative. I'll give them that with the play calling, but you can't trust Drew Aller, and they clearly did not. Also, how was there not targeting called? And they went to replay it. I didn't have the volume up because I was at a bar.
I couldn't believe
It's one of the most egregious targetings I've ever seen in my entire... No, nothing to see here.
Could have knocked them out.
Oh, my God. They just make this up as they go.
I know.
All these rules, man. Up next, we'll go over Week 5 numbers in the National Football League. The number in one of the marquee games is really on the move, and it makes sense. We'll tell you what game that is and the current point spread on it coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.